Hi guys, it's Jim Downs at Motorhome Rehab Ranch, and here we're at episode 8, I believe, might be 9. I have to check and see. Anyway, the next episode is about Electro-Level 2. What do you do if you have one? Make sense? We only made it for 78, and most of the 78 Coachman models were actually 77s. It says 78, but if it has an Electro-Level system in it, it is a 77 posing as a 78. Okay. So, Electro-Level 2. Electro-Level 1, and they did call it actually Electro-Level 1 in the manual. Here we go. Right here. And these will be below. I know Billy hates this, but here, let me give you something here. Right there. There's it says Figure 1, Type 1, rear suspension, Electro-Level 1. Figure 2, Type 2, rear suspension, Electro-Level 2. So right here is in the book when they introduced the Electro-Level 2. And the other part of the page talked about all of the parts and the pieces that are in the Electro-Level 2 system. First of all, the control panel. We talked about the control panel. Now, the Electro-Level, regular Electro-Level and the Electro-Level 2 control panel, wiring and all that. The only difference was the plate, Electro-Level, Electro-Level 2. Because as you see here, the wiring still had the two diodes right here. Here are your switches, and here are the diodes. So it still used the same control switch. Make sense? Now, let's talk about this compressor that's in here. Well, first, let's go through these parts. Got control panel, air compressor, dryer, compressor relay, exhaust solenoid, shutoff solenoid, electronic height sensor, air lines and fittings. It sounds like a lot of stuff, but actually the air compressor, the air dryer, the exhaust solenoid, are all inside this first compressor. All right. So this compressor is very interesting. Now, it was used in GM for other things, but as you see, right here's the compressor. Right here is the exhaust or down solenoid. There's a wire that kicks that. Right? Over here, this is the dryer. We'll talk about that in a second. But here's the compressor here, and here's the motor right there in one piece. Now this dryer, before we were talking about the power level system has an onboard air, and it always has onboard air. Well, that's a bit of a problem because air wants out, and you're not using it that often. So they determined with the Electro-Level, remember it had that small, tiny tank, it's called an accumulator. Well, they wanted to go along with that accumulator idea. So what they did was, right there, that is an accumulator. Okay? It's the same thing, but let's talk about what's inside this thing. First, there's a spring in there. There's a dry chemical. What? Oh, wait a minute. Let's read what this thing's supposed to have in it. Air dryer. It's not just an expansion tank. It's also a dryer. The two air dryers are used in this system, one each compressor. The air dryer is attached externally to the compressor output, blah, blah, blah. It contains a dry powder chemical that absorbs moisture from the air before it is delivered to the bellows. So here's the deal. They're using this expansion valve / dryer. Okay, because you remember on the Electro-Level there was a spit valve at the bottom. Okay, well, the new technology is they put a chemical in there to absorb the humidity. How long is that going to be good for? 50 years? No. So here's a problem. Let's get back over here. This is the expansion tank. Dry powder chemical in it in a spring. It also has, where is it? No. It's got a unique seal at the end of the airline that comes in. It's a real small airline with a clip, a retainer clip. And on the other side of, of the unit, okay, is another seal where it goes into right there. So this thing was designed, that dryer was designed to change out. Now, I looked in all the manuals and everything. There's no rate to do it or anything like that. They probably, the guy that made it knew that it had to be done, but didn't mention it and let it go because it's going to be so small, except in high humid areas, then you'll have a problem. But nobody ever even drained the tank on the Electro-Level. I guarantee you, because the first time you drain it, it'll start leaking. Means it never was drained. So even though they know that the air system needs to have some kind of a way to pull the air out, and they put it as a chemical. Make sense? Okay. Now, the next part of this puzzle, electrical wiring. See, this right here is the wire that goes to your down solenoid. Oh, let me get it over here. Yeah. Again, these pictures will be at the bottom. Here's the wire that goes to your down solenoids, the two down solenoids. Right here are two lockdown solenoids. In other words, when you turn the system off and you put it on hold, just like in the Electro-Level, the last one in the string shuts everything down. They have a separate solenoid. And actually, they show how to rebuild it, which I wouldn't do. But they have a separate solenoid, a shutdown solenoid, and that's triggered right there. From the shutdown solenoid, it's got like a capillary tube going to the expansion valve with a quick disconnect here and a seal there. So it's made to be changed out very quickly. It's a good design. It's just they probably just never carried it on to the service center. Okay. Now, real nice compact unit. It was a great idea. And we've all talked about before. The problem was it wasn't available anymore. Those replacement compressors were not available anymore after they were used up. Now, this was the first iteration of an electronic on-demand system. And if you look at cars today that have air control systems, this is the predecessor of it. It really is. And the main part, the main component part in this whole thing that made it work, where are we? Come on. Right there. Height control valve. This electronic height control valve. The air control valve was a very, very reliable valve. Okay, and we're going to talk about that later. The negative was it had airlines, and their goal was to get rid of as many airlines as they possibly could. Right? So this height control valve is the main brain. Remember we talked about the controls up front were the main logic of the power level system, right? Well, the Electro-Level system, it was spread out all through it. Maybe the two diodes you could call that. But the Electro-Level 2 system, this height control valve is the main component, the main logic. It tells it to go up, it tells it to go down, right? And it does it through electronic circuit right here. We talked about this before. Inside that Bakelite thing is a ring. and there's an LED light shooting to a sensor. It's very rudimentary, and I know that the new ones today are using potentiometers or other things. Okay, but this high control valve was the unique part of it. And it was the unique part. It was used in all the Buicks and Cadillacs and all the stuff in our GMC, and they ran out. Okay. Now, so you can kind of get what I'm talking about this system. You can't buy the expansion tank anymore. You can't replace it. Right? By the way, before I go any further, this is one I wanted to answer. People call, when you put it in gear, the light comes on, you hear a buzzer for 10 or 12 seconds, tell you to check the ride height, right? You say, well, is that involved in the ride height system? Is the light involved in the circuit? Is it, no, it's not. It's not. Right here, there's a time delay relay behind your dash. It's a standalone little plug-in module that when the ignition puts power to it, it's got a timer on it, and it goes to the telltale and makes the light on, and it comes down here, the neutral safety switch. As soon as you put it in gear, that's what triggers it. It counts, light comes on, buzzer comes on, turns off. But this has nothing to do with the Electro-Level or the Electro-Level 2 system. All right. So this is the main ingredient. Now, if you can't get one of these, again, this is the main part of the Electro-Level 2, you're kind of done. Okay. There isn't another replacement for that. Okay. So the Electro-Level 2 system has two parts that you can't buy. That and that compressor. I don't know of any rebuild kits or anything like that. So this video is about what? About upgrades to this system. All right. Let's stop right here a minute and talk about what's all this about. It's all about the money. You can throw enough energy, money, time, and make something work. It's true. And as long as your high control valves work, I'll show you what one guy sent me. This is his system right here, and he's taking it apart. Very enterprising guy. He went and got two Viair compressors, took the original plate there, made a breadboard up here, got some down valves, gauges, got 4 solenoids in there. As long as his high control valve works, this will work. Yeah. Theoretically, the high control valve is a sealed Bakelite part, and as long as it works, this works. And as long as this works, your Electro-Level 2 will work. Now, upgrades. He took the small compressor out. He put in a Viair. You could go down probably, but he bought a 2-pack. See, with horn blasters, you can buy a 2-pack, and it's a lot less money to buy two than, not less money, but per unit. You can buy two in a 2-pack. Works out real well for this. So what he basically did, this thing probably goes up like right now, because he's got twice as much CFM as the original system's got, because he has 2 compressors, 2 full-size compressors. So he put a down valve in here. He probably put an up solenoid to run the compressors. And yeah, you can do that. You can. Anything can be done with cubic dollars, right? Well, if we're talking about upgrades to the Electro-Level 2 system, right? As you see, it kind of gets complicated. And the whole idea behind all of the systems in this coach, we want a fail-safe. We want systems, mission-critical systems that are as simple and easy to understand and to repair and troubleshoot as possible. Do we want it the most expensive? No. Do we want it the most high tech? Now, this is very low tech of today, okay? But of the day, it was very high tech. Direct drive compressors, and they still make these. And you could go through manuals, you could go through parts lists and things, and I'll bet you could find a compressor, an OEM type compressor that would work, and maybe a height control valve if you could pin it out to figure out how that works, and make a system. But the truth is, it won't be an Electro-Level 2. It'll be the logic of one. In other words, direct drive and electronic sensors and all that. But it wouldn't be an Electro-Level 2. So there you go. Trying to be original with an Electro-Level 2 is very, very difficult to do. Okay? Because the electronics today, if you want to go that direction, the electronics, there are a lot of options. Like I said on the last video, the guy's got optical sensors down to the road. But the problem with that is, again, that is a mission critical system, and can it be fixed on the road? Well, if you designed it, maybe you could. But the idea is, what we want to talk about in the next video is what kind of system can you rely on, okay, that is very simple, that can be fixed on the road by Bubba or Scooter or you. That's a system that I think we need to have on our coach, because at $150 an hour plus, you really don't want to have to get a tech or a mechanic in there. And you don't want to have to not use the system if there's one failure point, like a piece of electronics or something like that. I want to try to stay away from those kind of things. Right? So, watch the next video. All of these other videos, I think episode 8, are all coming up to, let's see what we can put together today that is, one, very cost effective, number 2, very simple, number 3, very reliable, okay, and number 4, can be maintained and repaired very easily. This can't. It's unfortunate, but even when he gets that in there, he'll be the only one that can ever work on that. It just won't make any sense to somebody else, because he'll have to have all kinds of books and things with it. And unfortunately, it needs to be as simple as possible. I'm not down in what he's doing here at all. It's very cool, very creative, and he's having a lot of fun. And that's what these are a lot about anyway, having a lot of fun, right? Okay. All right, well, thanks for your time. And next video will be about a recommendation, and we're going to build it up together. I'm going to show you each component in the system, and we're going to talk about how to decide which one fits. All right. Thanks a lot. Hit like and all that stuff on YouTube. Ranch Hands, thank you for your support. If you like this, if you're having fun with this, become a Ranch Hand and send me some comments and gripes and everything else. Guys, thanks a lot. See you next time.